Curse of the Wolf. Written by Amelia Shaw. Narrated by Mia Tucker. Chapter 1. Mannix. My father was a crazy A-list asshole. I didn't like admitting it to anyone or saying the words out loud, but there was no changing the facts. What sort of man, let alone an alpha shifter, would drive his eldest child 100 miles from home, leave him in the wilderness, and tell him to find his own way back? Because that's exactly what my father did to my older brother Reid when he was 8 years old. For years, the pack believed Reid had died. What 8-year-old could survive the harsh winters of our state? After all, my father had chosen one of the most bitterly cold days of the year to drop Reid off. At least that was what I'd been told by others as I'd gotten older. Within our pack, people would often gossip and speculate on how my brother had likely died. He'd been too young to shift, too young to hunt. So how had my father ever expected him to survive? The simple truth was he probably hadn't. Which made my father, what? A murderer? Insane? Or both? The pack said my father was cursed. And when he died in a fire later that same year, no one had been surprised. He'd killed himself and my mother. I'd only been 5 years old at the time, so I don't remember much about that time. I was saved by my father's best friend and the man who raised me, Alfred. A kind man. A loving beta who took on the role of alpha after my father's passing, only because there was no one else in the pack to do it. But the biggest shock of all had come the night before Alfred died. He confided in me that he'd heard whispers that my brother Reid was still alive. I hadn't wasted any time. In the same week that I buried the man who'd raised me, I set off in the same direction my father had apparently driven off in with my brother all those years ago. I traveled from pack to pack, asking everyone I met about a man named Reid. Eventually, I found someone who knew of a man with an alpha's size, height, and strength. He was apparently quiet, but a good leader. That description sounded just like the man I'd always envisioned my brother would have been. But was it him? And what would the passage of time have done to him? I turned off the engine of my truck and stared out the front window at the buildings set around this village square. I'd been driving for a month, and I finally arrived at the Northwood Pack grounds. My heart pounded a little too hard in my chest, and after all this time, I hesitated to get out of the vehicle. Suddenly, a fist pounded on my window, and I jumped, glaring at the guy staring at me. "Could I help you?" he called out. I sighed and pulled the...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?